What is the most highlights of CPAC on the second day? And Pompeo came today and at 1:35. And what is his main point that he brought to the audience? And then it was a very strong response. That's what we will be answering. The question I'll be answering today, and also a number of other things today. More than nearly 20 topics. Okay, and many of them are very, very interesting. I think some of you have already seen it. So we'll be touching upon another thing, which is the family value. Okay, the family under attack. That's something we'll be drill in. Then I will be talking about an army captain. Okay, and also a Fox Nation host. And the advice he gave to all of us, I think, is very impressive. Oh boy, do I need to give you a joke? Anyway, I'll just postpone that decision, all right? And Kathy is still in CPAC, and she interviewed quite a few people. If you saw this today, just type up your question or response in the chat room so that I can relay this to her. All right, so this is Wei Fang from San Francisco studio, and we have two remote connected guests. One is, who's the second person? Hello. Hi, Kathy.
Hi. Hello. Hi, everyone.
All right.
And
so
with me is Nathan Su.
Yeah, Nathan Su. Yeah, yesterday I was, the Nan is his Chinese name. So that's why I want to tell a joke when he tried to count, I'm sorry, two, I'm sorry, three. That was Nan, but his English name is Nathan. So I'll go by Nathan. How about that, Nathan? You like another
All
joke?
Right.
You like another joke that you have, before? You want me to tell that?
I think we can save it.
Okay, all right. I make this deal. Okay, when Nathan is not on the show, I'll tell about his joke. More when he's absent. So how about that? All right. So
that's even worse.
Yeah. See, then I have my total freedom. Then, okay, that's the opportunity. I'll be waiting for that opportunity. All right. So, Pompeo came, 1:35. His son introduced him, and the response was huge, right? It was really, really very warm, standing ovation, and so on and so forth. And then tell us about what's the most takeaway from Pompeo's speech today.
Well, the most takeaway is he basically summarized all the successful projects that was done by the State Department, done by his team under the leadership of President Trump. Of course, the greatest achievement, you can list many of them, of course, to move the American embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. That's one of the biggest accomplishments. Signed several peace treaty between Israel and several Arabian countries. That's the one of the strongest achievement too. Now, he also mentioned the relationship with China, North Korea, Iran, so on and so forth. So I personally think the biggest achievement for Mr. Pompeo and American foreign policy under President Trump was to turn the China policy around. The 50 years China policy, longer than half century since 1979. Starting from 1971 after Henry Kissinger visited China. So I talked about this before. There's two different ways in the U.S. history dealing with communist regimes. One is the way that U.S. Dealing with the former Soviet Union. Basically, we had a Star War, so we dragged the economic competition. So the communist regime in former Soviet Union become weaker each day. Eventually, change taking place from within. So, and then another one, it's the way that how we deal with the Chinese communist regime since Henry Kissinger visited Beijing in 1971 in the last half century. We basically, each day we make the regime in China little stronger. So stronger, and each day, and we are hoping, we have the wishful thinking, when they become stronger, when the middle class grow big enough inside China, the middle class in China will ask more freedom and democracy, therefore will change China. And that was a total failure. So I think, especially specifically to Mr. Pompeo, I think one of his accomplishment is to ask American people and the public opinion to differentiate the Chinese communist regime from Chinese people. They are not the same. The problem is the regime. See, we have a lot of people visiting China before they had experience. When they visit China, they all come back to say, hey, Chinese people, very nice, very warm, they welcome Americans. Yes, that's Chinese people. That's not the regime. I mean, if you look at what the regime has done to us, especially in the last 20 years after they joined WTO, taking away a lot of American job, manufacturing job, take away espionage, steal our technologies, and make their propaganda inside the American society through the kind of institution like a Confucius Institute. Every day, while we are making the regime stronger and stronger, they are here hurting our society every day and making United States weaker and weaker every day. That's what's happening. And so I think that Mr. Pompeo made I think that's a couple years ago, right? He made a speech at Nixon Library, right?
That's last year.
That's last year, right?
Yeah.
That was the first time he tried to ask people that differentiate the Chinese communist regime from Chinese people. We need to be aware in our mind the communist regime is totally different than Chinese people. And the behavior, think about it, culture is a behavior. Today's communist regime's behavior has nothing to do with traditional Chinese culture. It's totally built based on the ideology of communism, which was invented by Karl Marx in Germany, 19th century. And also it was first practiced in Russia under the leadership of Lenin at the beginning of 20th century. So it really has nothing to do with traditional Chinese culture, really has nothing to do with Chinese people. So I think that if we still hoping we can change China, and we need to make that, difference between the communist regime and Chinese people really clearly in our mind. I think that's the biggest contribution from Mr. Pompeo. And I say that because the Chinese communist regime, it's the biggest threat to the security of the Western world.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Nathan. And I think I can summarize what I think Pompeo's speech, the key point, in 2 minutes. Okay. The first point is he said, American, we are honest and we are straight. So when I was served as the diplomat, he said, we were just very straight. We don't try to fake somebody else. We just tell our ally the truth. That's the first thing. The second, we are bold and we're fearless. Okay, because we believe our values right. So we're not shy in stating that. And then another point he said is to the dictators, for the tyrants, he said, we are I came on them very heavy. I said, if you touch America, you are paid dearly. All right, so very bold and very fearless, can live up to the pressure. And President Trump told those world leaders that I'm the U.S. president, so America first. And you should hold your country first too. Then we'll work together towards a win-win. That's the way that they do it. And also another point is America, for the best of our allies is for America to become strong, because America is the best force in this world. And this word came from the trade representative. Okay, and so basically, yeah. So it is beneficial to everybody else if America become powerful, because the world will be more peaceful. America is the best force in this world. So it is not wrong to be America first, even for the other countries in this world. I think that's very clearly stated. And he talked about they are bold, they are fearless, they venture into uncharted territory. There's no bad consequence, there's only good consequence. And the Middle East is a very typical example with the embassy move, with the Golan Heights recognition. And the final result is this Abraham Pact, and the Middle East situation changed, even after Trump took those seemingly unpopular or risky, measures, but turned out to be good because people respect America when America follow through its value and be himself. I don't know, what do you think? Okay, I think that's very, very enlightening to me. As I listen to Pompeo and the Lighthizer speech. So Kathy, do you have anything to add about the Pompeo's speech? And if not, I want to ask you about the people you interviewed. What's the two most takeaways you want to you have for our audience?
Okay. Yeah, I just add a couple of things from Mike Pompeo's speech. One thing is I remembered he mentioned a story about his grandpa. And I think he put it in a very light way, but I think he probably have a purpose. So if you watch it, but if you haven't watched it, his speech, he just told a story about how his grandpa was a one-term sheriff. And then when he tried to campaign for a re-election, unfortunately the underground, the brewing, space in his home exploded. And he said this explosion just blew away the underground
the basement
space and his election
and his campaign
basement. Mm-hmm. Yes, right. And but he said, sometimes things happen just out of your plan, but don't give up. You will finally succeed. So I think his tell the story probably encourage the people who are in the room, who are the conservatives who may be disappointed or feel hopeless. He tried to use the story to encourage them. And also he mentioned in the later of the speech, President Reagan's speech in 1964. A lot of people remember that. It's titled A Time for Choosing. And President Reagan said, if we lose freedom here, we have nowhere to escape, because this is the last standing on earth. This is the last stand on earth. So I think, again, he's, encouraging people to stand up, to fight for what's right. So yeah, that's, a couple of things I would like to add. And in terms of the interviews, I did a lot of interviews today, again, probably more than yesterday. So, but I really enjoy that. I hope our audience still enjoy watching these interviews too.
Anybody,
actually,
let me interrupt just a little bit. For those of you online, if you watch any of them, type up some feedback. Kathy, yeah, please continue.
Yeah, I would love to know that. And then I would also, among all those interviewees, one is a celebrity. We can consider that Kevin Sorbo. So I just wonder how many people watched his TV series before, Hercules. So he was famous for...
Anybody, please, type it up if you ever did. All right, continue.
Yeah, and I think he was probably the earlier actor who, left Hollywood because of he just fed up with the progressive leftist environment of the Hollywood. So he really spoke up about his experience and how he thinks or why, because I asked him why Hollywood, become that way, and he just discussed a lot of different things. And another celebrity as well, his name is Claston Bernard. He's actually Jamaican American, and he was he was really good at the it's called what? The athlete. It's the sports. You have 10 kinds of field and those competition. So he became very successful starting at the college age, right? But at that time, he's not naturalized yet because he's an immigrant from Jamaica. And it's amazing thing. It's very interesting. He said, he told me that because I found that he represented Jamaica when he was in the competition, even when he went to Olympics. I said, why is that? And he said that he intentionally did that because he did not want to take a spot from American peers, because he feel, America has offered him the opportunity to come and study and become successful in athlete. But later on, now he became American and he actually became an author and entrepreneur, but now he is actually running for Congress in Louisiana, and it's coming up in March. So then he said, now I become American because I want to give back to this place, this great country. So again, this is a person who, an immigrant. His story, I think, it'd be very inspiring to everybody. It's very inspiring to me. And I also talked to Cassandra Spencer. She's formerly a U.S. Army public affairs officer, then become a Facebook contractor. And he actually was the whistleblower. Mm-hmm. And she exposed how Facebook, thank you. So she exposed how Facebook intentionally deleted or did something with the algorithm to censor or shadow ban the conservative voice. And then she was actually, expelled by Facebook. She had a, kind of experience. And then she became the undercover journalist for Project Veritas. Well, we talk about that a lot. So, she just told her a lot of stories during this process, and then now she wrote a book, all about her story. And another lady, young lady, is very interesting. I just bumped into her. She just had a conversation, then I interviewed her. Beautiful lady, young lady, Justine Morey. She's actually a senior in a university in New York, but she, because of her conservatism, she was actually so threatened on campus so that she could not go back to that campus. So, again, that's a young person, but she decided to continue on his fight and also try to help others. It's a very interesting story as well. So a lot of interesting stories I think you would like to watch. And finally, I actually interviewed another person. His name is Trevor Loudon. He's actually a author, filmmaker, public speaker. I interviewed him years ago. He is very familiar with Marxism, communism, and how they, especially CCP, how they infiltrate and try to control the United States. And he actually gave some recipes to the conservative movement.
Oh, is that right?
One thing, yep. And if there's one line of his recipe, his recipe is saying the red states, need to, he feels that the conservatism needed to assemble and build a nation within nation. At first, I was thinking, wow, isn't that making a lot more divided, making the country more divided? But as I asked this question and he explained more, I kind of changed my initial reaction. So if you like to know, but I think he really gives some very good advice. And also when I ask his opinion about President Trump's role. And he said, people just people who support President Trump just love he as an individual, but also it's beyond just an individual. He said, the American people are just so fed up with how they treated, but finally they found someone like President Trump is really fighting for them. And he said the American people are not going back, whether President Trump runs for office again or not. And he said that if for the Republicans, because those mainstream media, I saw some reporting talking about just during this CPAC saying, the inside of the Republic they are having a civil war. So I asked this question to him, and he said he just laughed at it. And he said, there's, different opinions, divisions, but he feels that whoever will lead the Republican and the United States will be someone like Trump, if it's not Trump. And he said tomorrow at the speech, people, he also look forward to it, just listen to Trump's plan. Is he gonna, run again in 2024? Or his focus would be more like, having social media or a TV station try to, just get people together to lead forward. He said that, either way, he is very optimistic about how United States just gonna wake up and move forward. He said, he admits right now, he said it's a very, very bad situation, very dangerous, but he's still very hopeful.
Okay, Lisa Jane, you wrote, I love Trevor Loudon. And Dolly Martin said, I watched Hercules with my dad for years. It was a happier time in the U.S. at that time. People were more wholesome and hopeful, tolerant, and smart. Not like today. Okay, all right. Good. All right, I don't think we'll be dragging on too long. So tomorrow, President Trump will be coming out and make his speech. There's also a number of topics tomorrow. And so Kathy and Nan, they produce a lot of things in the channel, so please check them out. And so actually, I just want to add one comment, okay? For America, Americans may not realize how the people in the world look up to this country, okay? You are indeed the shining city upon the hill, all right? So when that shining city goes dim, it just, the heart of the people all over the world will be broken. Anyway, but that's only the prospect, that's not the reality, okay? Because people are still working, CPAC is happening there, and there's a lot of courageous people, a lot of discussion, and that happening there. So tomorrow we'll be continue doing this. We won't be dragging on too long tonight. It's kind of late for Kathy and Nathan. So before we end, let me tell another joke about Nathan. How about that? Oh boy, that's scary.
You cannot escape.
Tell a joke about somebody else, not Nathan.
The reason I mentioned that is because Nathan talked about the Soviet Union, right, in the Pompeo speech. This is an old joke, but see whether you would laugh. Because in that kind of country, for us Chinese, we really can laugh right away because we understand how socialists work. I will tell this to you, and you tell me whether you would laugh. Because if you don't understand socialism or communism, you may not laugh. But that's also normal. I also want to know that. Okay. Anyway, I'll spare Nathan. American businessmen in the 1980s got this opportunity to travel to, Soviet Union to, make some business, do some business, make some money. Soviet Union back then, they allow limited so-called friendly capitalists coming in and set up a hotel and make some money, things like that. Very few of them. Okay, this particular American businessman went to Soviet Union, all right? And he was in Moscow. He was riding the cab, and he noticed that on a sidewalk, okay, where the trees are there, right? A sidewalk, there were two people, two workers. One worker having this, spade was shoveling things, right? Shoveling and just just shovel and create a hole. The second worker just came and they filled it up. Then they move on to another, next spot and they dig a hole, and then the other worker just fill the hole. It just keep happening. So he was really curious. What are they doing? What kind of project is this? Okay, so he stared at them for a while, and then he had to leave. So he asked the cab driver to drive off. He needs to do his business. After come back, after 1 hour, they're still doing this thing. One person dig a hole, another person fill the hole. He just couldn't control his curiosity. What the heck's going on here? Soviet Union, how do they do things? So he stopped and he came to the workers. He asked them, so can you tell me that what are you doing? So why are I digging this hole and then filling this hole with the soil, right? The workers said it's very simple. We got 3 of us as a team, right? So one person, we assign the work. I just dig the hole, and the second person would, put the tree in the hole. The third person would just fill it up. And the second person got sick, so he doesn't come. So 2 of us carry on with our work. Ha 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 ha! Whoa! I heard a lot of laughters. Okay, would that be funny? Because in socialist country, they kill the free spirit, the spirit of the free enterprise. Nobody care. They just do their job. They don't care about whether company, project, things would succeed, right? So one person dig a hole, did his job, get a salary slip. The second person filled it up because the third person filled it up. The second person was sick on that day. It is actually not quite a laughter. Similar things, not so ridiculous, but it just the nature is true. This is socialism. I see.
And they all get paid.
Yes, they all got paid. They all got paid. One person dig a hole, another filled it up. Those 2 people got paid. The person who's sick also got paid. Everybody got paid. This is called socialist. Everybody's happy. The country just died.
Yeah, and
the country just died.
Socialism just suppress the creativity of people.
Yeah. All right.
I
see, Alexandra, you said another great joke. Okay, and the book David said, lot of laugh. Yep. All right. Great. You like it. And thank you for.
And Wei, did you see Wolfgang said you probably just regret you're not here in Florida. Are you?
Yeah. Guys, somebody have it in the back office, right? Because this is where all the equipment, our DJ, and everybody's here. I have to be here. So basically, Kathy and Nathan took my opportunity. Next year, I will do a switch. I'll manage to go out of there, and then next year is the Kathy or Nathan will have to tell the joke. So you got 1 year to prepare for that. How about that?
Nathan, you will have your chance.
Yeah, I will tell a joke about
Wei.
Wei Fang.
Okay, you have your way back to me. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. We'll end shortly so that our 2 guests will be able to go to bed a little earlier. But tomorrow there'll be another busy day. A lot of content will be in the channel. So please help us. And if we do this well, you help us grow this channel to be mainstream, influence a lot of people, become very, very successful, help the country, then we will retire from this job and move on to do the nighttime, late night comedy show. How about that? Can you help me make my dream come true? Thank you very much, please. All right, so much for tonight.
That's a bonus joke.
Yes, all right. I'll see you tomorrow. Same time.
All right.
Take care.
All right, thank
Bye-bye.
you. Take
Bye-bye.
care. See you
Good night.
tomorrow.